Hi, my name is Aaron Linder. I just want to address the audience today. I want to talk about cloud computing. Cloud computing is part of my senior thesis I did for Winston-Salem State University for the UNC. They require us to do a thesis to graduate for the bachelor's degree programs. And what I talked about was the economic benefits of cloud computing for the United States corporations. And the basis of my experiment, I did cover some background knowledge of cloud computing and how the cloud computing works in the United States. And most of it falls under two categories. One would be software as a service, and the second was infrastructure as a service. So software as a service is usually the apps that we use day to day, like email, and we also use Dropbox is another app that's very common, or OneDrive. Hard drive space that's remote. And one of the reasons we're using this software right now, because a lot of people are downsizing their computational requirements of machines, because high-end machines are still $4,000 to $5,000 or even $2,000 to $3,000 when you can use a very inexpensive computer and do advanced computing on a cloud computing machine, a cloud computed machine. One of the examples is when I would use simulations at university on a supercomputer doing molecular dynamics simulations. I would be able to connect on a Raspberry Pi or some small low-end machine and be able to do high-end supercomputing on a low-end machine remotely. So I wouldn't have to drive down to the nanoengineering school and get on the computer and physically get in the lab and work on the computer. Another use of cloud computing right now is infrastructure as a service. I have a friend at Wake Forest University. He owns his own company, and he does some stuff for Capital One and some other companies, and he will computate a lot of data on Python, their back-end data, and give them results of, simulations regarding abstract statistics and other things of data visualization or data modeling. And it's not real-time modeling. Another thing he did was he was working on the Medicaid database, and he would look at the charges that doctors would give patients and look at if there's any outlying statistics of people frauding the Medicaid system. And that's how data engineering is used to assist corporations in being able to kind of outsource some of their data needs, because it's very expensive to buy all this software and all this hardware when a company can do 30 or 40 companies by themselves, and it reduces the cost for many companies. Another thing that can be used is Salesforce, or I used a program called Actin when I was working as a manufacturing sales manager. I was not good at software at the time. I didn't have any education in computers. And I did a lot of remote computing. One of the things I did is I hooked up an e-commerce database with the food service resellers, and we did projects like Google Cafeteria and Camp Pendleton in California, because I put the products, which are not just retail items that you would just buy off the store. It's not off the shelf items. It's semi-custom work, but the reseller would arrange with the factory of what was going on, and it would give them a catalog that was electronic that could show the customer some graphics, and then begin to specify out projects, especially in construction work. Another thing that cloud computing can be used for is contact databases and call centers. Obviously, you guys know that Google is making robotic call people that can answer the phone and do customer service for the credit card companies, for people making their payments and stuff, which doesn't work well for contractors and people who are doing specified work. However, another use of cloud computing is there's software as a service, there's infrastructure as a service, and what my specific experiment was on was how profitable is cloud computing. When I used a statistical model over time, over a 30-year period, I realized as different breakthroughs to the internet speed came in, the cloud computing and the availability of cloud computing to corporations greatly increased the amount of revenue that they were gaining as software rental software, basically. That they're renting software nowadays, and they're not necessarily charging the full cost of the software up front, and it's a very profitable enterprise for businesses that are not necessarily computer science businesses. Factories and retail places, they use a lot of cloud computing. Some companies are so large, they do have their own data centers and do all their own computing, but for a smaller business, it saves a lot of money in the beginning, because it's very difficult to scale up projects and buy your own servers and buy your own web hosting. So if you look at my paper, you will see the firms I covered, and you'll see what I looked at. And also, the Google Chrome book that they're using for elementary school students is a very cloud computed app. There's a lot of cloud computed stuff on there, and I think it was a very interesting area of research, and I would like to get further into cloud computing if I had a chance to. In fact, on my senior thesis, what I was saying is my future plans, my PowerPoint presentation, I would like to learn more about JavaScript, and I would like to learn more about C# and F#, and I know a lot of Java and Python already, but this class I'm taking is giving the opportunity to learn some new things about JavaScript. And JavaScript is really good because I can use all these web technologies to do some easier methods of programming that didn't require me to do huge projects, and I didn't need to do more advanced software than I needed. I'm learning a lot from this class about web development because unfortunately I did not get to take as many classes as I'd like to in university. And so sometimes these courses help me to fill in the gaps of what I need, and I appreciate you guys letting me attend this class. Thank you. Have a nice day, guys.